Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Can you believe it? I have to turn this light down. Sorry, it's blinding me. There we go. Whew. That was tough. Welcome to Bead Stash Challenge week 25. Yes, next week is our halfway point through the year. And somebody reminded me today that we are officially 6 months till Christmas, so time to get shopping and and making, okay? Hey, Janelda. So, today, well, I'm Paula Montgomery from Desert Cat Creations, if you haven't joined us before, and we are the home of Bead Stash Challenge. We do Bead Stash Challenge on Sundays and Thursdays at noon Pacific time this time of year, Mountain time. It's really Mountain Standard Time year-round. I don't change because I'm in Arizona. I don't go on Daylight Savings Time, but so this time of year, we're on Pacific Time until November, then we'll switch back to Mountain Standard Time. Okay, so today we are going to make a short necklace. We're going to show how to use some undrilled stones. So, you know, if you're walking on the beach or just in the neighborhood or whatever and you see a pretty stone, you know, there are ways to use it in jewelry without having to have the hole set up to drill a hole in it or have somebody else drill a hole in it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I just want to remind everybody, and when I flip it back over, it'll show up on our screen, that we are having our summer sale. So through July 11th, you can get 20% off all of our cards, our kits, and our bead mixes. So just a reminder, that does include our newest kit, which is our quail kit. So this is the big one. We have you get 3 quail in there. This is the little guy. Yes, I am on Arizona time. And you get a medium quail. Now, these aren't, you can pretend they're daddy, mommy, and a baby, but really it's adult, teenager, and baby. Okay. So, but, you know, because they're really about the same size. Mom and dad aren't different sizes. But anyways, you get all the crystals to make those for $25. And like I said, right now, 20% off. It's $20 plus shipping. Shipping right now, $6.50. Although I was at the post office the other day and they said it's going up again, of course, right? I have no control over that. So anyways, 20% off through July 11th. And like I said, that includes all of our other kits. I still have all of our kits from the past. We have bunnies, we have turkeys. You know, I talked about getting ready for Christmas. If you want to get ready for Thanksgiving, you can still get turkey kits too. And like I said, everything's 20% off through July 11th. All right. If you want to order directly from me, many of you prefer to do that, I'll automatically give you the 20% off, so no worries. Shipping starts at $6.50, by the way. If you order multiple items, I have to add, because my shipping is based on weight, not number of items, but weight. Okay. So, unless you drive. Yes, if you drive to Tucson, you can pick it up for free. If you're in Arizona and you want to work out a meet somewhere, you can skip that shipping. Although if you're from Arizona and buy from me in Arizona, I believe I have to charge you tax. So it is what it is. All right. Hey, Lorraine, thanks for joining us. So let's get started, because I did come on a little bit late. I was actually charging my phone, so I had to wait a couple minutes. So. All right. So again, if you want to use the website, Summer 20. Just a reminder to everybody else who ordered, if your order was paid, it is on its way to you. I think the post office said the ones I dropped off on Tuesday, I think it was, should be to you guys by Monday. So, yay! Quail kits are on their way. It's very exciting, right? And Janelle, your directions are on the way, since I hadn't finished those, but so they are on their way to you too. Hopefully you'll get them shortly. All right, so let's remind ourselves what we're supposed to make today. We are supposed to make a short necklace, 14 to 18 inches. So that's, 14 is considered a choker, I think. 18 is considered a collar, if you care about terms, which those terms should just tell you how long something is. All right, we have to use neutral colors, and we're using, I know I'm out of order here. All right, let's look at what we've got off to the side here. So we have to use an undrilled stone or shell. So I have a couple of them here. I haven't decided exactly which one I'm going to use. You guys can vote. So this is a point. It's got nicely tumbled, and it's got points drilled on it, but there's no hole, so we can use that one. I've also got this one that is just some random stone I picked up, I think, on a beach somewhere, but it goes with my other stuff. And I felt like it was kind of like tooth shaped. So anyways, we will use one or both of those. We'll see. All right, then we have to use brass, beads, or metal. So I have some different brass spacers. I have some cubes. I have some decorative ones. What is it called? Corrugated barrels. Okay, in an antique brass finish. I thought about doing shiny brass, but then when I started pulling things out, I decided I wanted to go with the antique brass. I've also got some antique brass chain here. So we've got that. We have to use gunmetal also. So I've got a couple of gunmetal beads that I might use. I've got, about these years ago, I think they're pewter, but they're gunmetal finish. They're kind of an interesting bead. And then I also have some gunmetal finish, like seed bead side beads, okay? And I have gunmetal wire, so we're going to use gunmetal wire. Isn't that fun? All right. Then we have to use neutral colors, so I needed to add, not that I couldn't just do something with this here, but I thought we needed a little more something, so I'm pulling out some leopard skin jasper. I think, as far as neutrals go, it's a pretty neutral stone. It's got browns, it's got whites, beiges. So, those are all neutrals. I would definitely say that brass and gunmetal are neutrals. I also have some coins, which I may use. We'll see. I'm kind of leaning towards the rounds at the moment. Anyways. And then we have some brass, I have a brass clasp, antique brass clasp, and we have some champagne crystals in case we decide to use those. I spent a lot of thinking about how I was going to do the undrilled stone. I didn't spend a lot of thinking about the rest of the design, so this will be fun as we go along, right? I'm gonna pull these out and set that aside. All right, so just a reminder, there's a lot of different ways to work with undrilled stones, and I just want to remind you of a couple of things we've done. I didn't do this one live, but here I took a small-ish cabochon, and I did some fancy wire wrapping, and I did some little prongs, and then I decorated the top. So that's one way you can do something. This was sort of a one way to do a cage. This is sort of a link. These were like some egg-shaped stones I have, which I have a whole bunch more too. So, and here's another one. I actually like this cage, and I thought about doing that again today, but then I thought we've already done that, so I'm not going to do that. And it doesn't really work with the beads I ended up choosing. And then here's another one. This is an undrilled heart. I put some really thin wire, 24 gauge wire, to hold it just onto, and the back is a mess because my wires broke. I was trying to do a prong thing, so then I had to kind of change it up, but it looks pretty from the front, right? And by using this thin wire, it's holding it in there solidly, and it's not very obtrusive because it's so thin. Lorraine, we can do some more working with undrilled stones at some point. And then I think this was our most recent undrilled project. I think I made this just on a one of our Sunday shows, but I took this dog bone stone and we just wrapped it and we put a pearl on it to just pretty it up a little bit. This was a super fun pendant to make. At least I had fun. Hopefully you guys did. But just shows you can pretty it up. You can, and make all sorts of things. You just have to, be willing to try. And a lot of it is just experiment, especially if your stone is a weird shape, right? So, this point thing, I would probably do very similar to that dog bone and just wrap something around the center if we use that. I was thinking, we could make a pendant out of these two. I mean, they're not the same stone. They don't even, but they're both kind of neutrally colored. Or we can just use one. I think, I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I try to do something with both of them, or should I just use the points or the tooth? We'll call it the tooth. and while you're voting on that, I am going to just move my cards out of the way and get some stuff out. So if we use both, like I said, I'm thinking it would be something along that line. And I'm going to and I think if we use just the point, also we could maybe hang a coin from there, just to give it a little more, make it a little more interesting. So do you guys have an opinion on the point versus the tooth? And normally, I mean, on some things I wouldn't use anything thicker than a 22 gauge for any of the fine, wrapping, just because you don't want it to overpower a small stone, right? But if you had a big stone, obviously you want to go with something a little heavier. Lorraine votes for the tooth. I was trying to, you like the crystal? Oh, this one, yeah. I mean, like I said, I think we could use them both. They're both neutral enough. I see something ending up like that. I'm going to cut these crystals because I feel like I'm wanting to add something shiny to my design. All right, well, we'll do both. Okay. So, so I'm thinking on here, you know, if we're hanging it with the pointy side down, which is what I'm thinking, I'm going to wrap a little bit around the edge and then put the connection to whatever on the top. And in this case, you know, since it's holding it that way, I don't necessarily have to have something below supporting it. If I was hanging it this way, you would definitely, you know, more of a teardrop. I don't know why I keep thinking I want it pointy side down, but, you know, you could certainly do this in the teardrop thing. But in that case, you do need something at the bottom, because if you just wrapped around the sides, it could fall out. Okay? So keep that in mind. I guess I could hang it that I don't know. For some reason, I just really want the point down. So we're going to do the point down. So, all right, let's get some wire out here. Oops. Dropping things already, and we just got started, right? So, although, all right, I'm going to cut maybe like 1.5 feet of wire. I'm not measuring, I'm just guessing. I don't want to run out of wire. So, so what I'm thinking is I want some wire up here, because we're going to make some sort of connection, right, to our thing. And so I am just holding this along the back. Fortunately, the back of this stone is kind of flat. And I'm going to turn it sideways, give it a 90-degree turn, and then I'm just going to wrap it tightly around a couple of times. And you know what? I went up, but I probably should have gone down. It doesn't matter, actually, probably. So, I mean, 3 wraps is probably enough. We will certainly find out, right? Actually, I'm going to do one more, and I'm going to try to pull it really tight. All right, and then when I get to the back here, I'm going to wrap it around there. And I think I'm going to slide this down, because obviously it's not that tight, and I'm going to slide the end of that wire up through the back, okay? Just because I don't want anything to come off. And that's also tightening up my wire, because it's adding, you know, some extra things in there. So, and I am going to pull this tight with my pliers. And I'm going to push this up here. Now, you know, it does move a little here. So we need to make sure that we get, you know, something that's going to hold the stone in there. I don't want to put too much stuff on here just because I don't want to cover up the color of the stone, but I will need to put something over the top. Now, you know, I can end up like bending. Well, so we've got a couple options here, right? So I can continue that. I can try to put something additional on there. The other thing I can do is I can attach this directly so it's one piece. So I'm thinking I might do that. So I know we're just making this up as we go along. So I'm going to pull that wire forward just because it was it'll hold it in there. And then I am going to wrap a couple times around here. Now the question is, do I want something, do I want to add a crystal or anything? I don't know. Let's go over here. I don't know why that guy's. I'm going to cross over, go to the other side. Sorry, I'm trying to do this round so hopefully you can see a little better. Whoops. Not sure why that nudged up like that. So that's going to keep this stone from going in. It's still a little wobbly though. But I think what I'm going to do is wrap a couple times here. I'm going to tuck that end in. All right, we have something there, right? So what if I add a little sparkle to the front? This would probably be better with a coin, but I don't know, maybe. What do you think? A piece of sparkle off both sides, or I mean, I can make this. always feel like I need to take it down, but I think it'll be okay, actually. I think I may use a separate piece of wire to put our add some sparkle there. All right, so this is just one piece. So I am going to put a loop up here for a bail. So I want to wrap it I'm going to wrap it a couple times around these pliers since I want it to be a little thicker. If I had the gunmetal in like 24 gauge, I would wrap that wire. Instead, we're just going to use like a double loop there. And then I'm going to hold on to this loop a minute. We're going to, oops, do a wrap. And then I'm going to go back here. And I don't know why this is being, my wire is loose. Obviously did not pull it tight enough. So see if we can thread that through a couple of those wires. Biggest thing to watch out for is your wire kinking. You don't want it to get all bent out of shape because then it's hard to work with, but since we already got the main part done. I know, I'm just messing around right now, guys. Sorry. Let's see if we can get this fed back through something. Here we go. And see, you gotta have to be careful that it doesn't bend. Sometimes it's better to do this with your fingers and then tighten it with your pliers. All right. What do you think? Does that need something? I think it needs something. Not sure what, though. And see, look, this is still loose. Don't like that. Let's see if I can firm it up. I think I need bigger pliers. Use some bigger. All right, I am not happy with how that is fighting with me, guys. So I don't like these points necessarily, but All right, I am going to we'll work on tightening it up because we are just running out of time here. I don't want to keep you guys all day. All right, let's see if we can try my little trick that works sometimes with when we make our figures, you know, if it's a little loose, you can tighten it up by putting a little decorative thing in there. But all right, there's our pendant. I guess I could always, if I really, so yeah, I did tighten it up a little bit. I could always put glue on there, but I don't know about you guys, but I really don't like to use glue in my jewelry. It's one thing to use it on a knot, you know, in leather knotting or something. I have no problem with that, but I don't like to glue stones in if I don't have to. I know a lot of people do, but anyways, so there's our stones, our gunmetal, our neutral colors. So we just need some brass. So you know what? We can just make this simple since we have been working along, and just put it on a brass chain. What do you think? Do I need to do anything fancier for today? Actually, I'm gonna need this. So our necklace has to be 14 to 18 inches. So I think I'm gonna measure 17 inches for this. Chain. Not sure where I got this chain. I think I bought a bunch of random chain one time when somebody was kind of closing their business and refocusing things, or they had closed their storefront. So I think that's where this chain is from. But I have a lot of it, apparently. All right, where's my... Now I have some jump rings in here. So I didn't end up adding any sparkle. But hey, you know. All right, let's put our clasp on one side here. Now, these little jump rings, remember you flip it side to side, came with my, let's see, they came with my lobster clasps. They're not particularly strong, so personally I would double it up if you can, but this is pretty tiny chain. My pendant is not real heavy, but you know, it could be. So, you know, you could certainly make a loop on here and add, actually, maybe we should do that. Then let me, I'll do that since I never added any sparkle. One thing I was thinking of showing you and is one way to make this adjustable. So, you know, I have a jump ring here. What I can also do is go down a little ways, put another clip in my chain, and then we're going to add another jump ring, which allows somebody to adjust it a little bit. You know, I'd probably, if I was going to make this, you know, I would put either multiple adjustments in there or, you know, make sure it was like an inch apart or something. It's also a way to make necklaces for that, you know, young girls might want, and then they can adjust it bigger as they get older, right? So, you know, the same thing gets accomplished by adding like jewels, or I mean you know, when we do wire wrapping in there. But all right, so we made this a little adjustable, which wasn't part of our requirement, but now I can make this. My lobster's a little thick. All right, I'm going to measure. So this ends up being right at 18 inches, or about 16, a little over 16, although I don't know how so see what I did was, you have those two rings in there, because this is tiny chain. You know, sometimes the chains has big enough loops that you can just move the lobster, but since this is small chain, it doesn't. So, all right, that's what we ended up with. So we used 2 undrilled stones, we used gunmetal wire, and then we used brass chain, and I would argue that all of these colors are neutral. What do you think? All right, let's try it on and see what it looks like. I may have to take my other, let me take my other necklace off so it's not in the way. Okay. Let's flip it over. All right, here's what it looks like. Oh, make sure it's not twisted. So that was something a little different. And I think as long as I don't pull on things too hard, it's not coming out. All right, thanks again, guys. Hey, if you're new to us, let me know you're out there, and I'd love to have you come along. We certainly, I know there's some new people who just got their cards, and we'd love to see you play along. If you haven't already, please join our Bead Stash Challengers group. That's where we play along with our weekly drawings. You don't have to play along. You can do as long as you want, you know, as often as you want, or as seldom as you want. We just love to have you there and playing along and participating. Don't worry about having to start at the beginning of the year or having to do it every week. Those of us that do it every week, we do it because we enjoy doing it every week, but it's all up to you guys. We just want you to play, and we want you to, you know, learn from using your new cards. All right. So if you haven't already, please like and follow Desert Cat Creations on Facebook and Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube. I do save all these videos out to YouTube, so you can go back and see them if there's something that you want to watch again. Also, my video tutorials will be out there. We will be doing a make-along for the quail kit at some point. I don't know. I'm thinking about them a few weeks from now, just give people time to get their kits, right? And we'll see. We'll see. I'll look at the calendar and look at some dates. Our sale, once again, like I said, if you haven't gotten your kits, you want any of our older kits, our card decks that you haven't gotten, any of that stuff, we are running a sale. Use code SUMMER20 online or direct message me and let me know what you want, and we'll take care of you. And if you have any questions on, you know, what might make sense for you, please reach out. I'll be happy to help you. So, all right, I will be back on Sunday noon Pacific time or Arizona time, and we will draw for week 26. It's our midway point of the year, and we will make a project of some sorts. I don't know, I might do something patriotic, since the 4th and the 250th birthday is coming up. So we'll see what I have sitting around that I've been wanting to play with. Okay, it's always a surprise. I never tell anybody ahead of time unless we're doing our sculpture make-alongs, right? So, all right, I will see you all on Sunday. I hope you have a great weekend. If you're in the Southwest, stay cool. It is very warm here. If you're in the rest of the country, hopefully you're having more pleasant weather, although I know there's a lot of rain and stuff going through. So hopefully where you are, you're getting a chance to do something outside and enjoy your summer. If the weather's bad, though, it's a great time to stay inside and play with your Bead Stash Challenge cards and your Bead Stash, right? All right. I will see you all on Sunday. Bye.